your nail down. I'm Jason Gilbo, JGilbo11. With me is Nick Tasso at the Inefficient 2. Taking a look at pitching on tonight's 5-game slate here. We also have a Coors game, which is worth mentioning just because of pitcher pricing. But overall, I mean, it's kind of clear-cut, kind of obvious of where to go.
Yeah, I think there's one option that we'll get talk about later, and then there's a few cheaper options which you can kind of pair up on DraftKings.
Yeah, definitely. And jumping right into the first game here, you got the Mets and Braves. Over under 7.5, one of the lower ones on the slate here. Matt Harvey versus Matt Whistler. Mets minus 157 favorites. In Turner Field, decent pitcher's park. Harvey, I mean, was pitching pretty solid coming in before this last start of his, which was against Atlanta, and he kind of let us down. Still had 5 strikeouts over 6 innings. 4 earned runs was a little bit disappointing. He only threw 83 pitches, so I think he should kind of come back. I do expect a better start out of him.
Yeah.
I do.
Oh, sorry.
I do like him a little bit more on DraftKings at the 8,100 price tag.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No
I do
problem.
like him too. You look at that, the 83 pitch count, that was pretty low for 6 innings of work. So I think if he's able to spot the ball a little bit better, he might be able to get a little bit more strikeouts and utilize 100 pitches or so through 7 innings.
Yeah, definitely. And you still look at this Atlanta team. I mean, I know they don't strike out a ton against right-handed pitching, but you still look. I mean, I think a Harvey quality start at that price tag is definitely doable today. And I think, in addition to the Coors game, it's kind of what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. That 8,100 on DraftKings is really appealing. I'd probably stay away from them on FanDuel just because it's a little bit higher. But you look at both these teams, really, their offenses really haven't done much lately. So I think both starters are kind of you could utilize for GPPs and in cash.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Whistler's, I mean, really intriguing at his price tag. I mean, you look on FanDuel, I mean, he's 6,900. He kind of allows you to really do a lot of stuff with your lineup as far as hitters go. And you look at this Mets offense, I mean, Yoenis Cespedes left the game yesterday. He might be out again today. I mean, if he's out, I mean, I'm definitely going to probably have a ton of Whistler shares. That's definitely going to up it for me. He doesn't have a big strikeout rate, but he has had some solid starts this season where, he's dialed up 7 strikeouts in a row, had 3 of those. And you look at this Mets team, I mean, 23.3% strikeout rate against righties.
Yeah, and he's had his better outings at home. He did face the Mets earlier this year, pitched well through 8 innings. I believe it was a 1-hitter. So, I mean, he does have a little bit of upside here, especially at that price, 6,900.
Yeah, definitely. I like him quite a bit. And I think on the small slate, I think he is going to carry a little bit of ownership. So I don't really mind being, a little bit different there.
Yeah, I agree with you there. If you look at his numbers, he might be higher owned than usual because you don't have too many options on this slate. So if he does have one of those bad games, it's not going to hurt you too bad if he's owned pretty highly.
Yeah, definitely. And moving on, next one here, Padres and Reds, Christian Friedrich versus John Lamb. Over under 9.5, Cincinnati minus 105. Some weather in the area, but expected to clear out. This one is actually my favorite hitters game behind Coors. So I'm really staying away from both these arms.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you there. You look at Christian Friedrich first, and he kind of really showed his true self last outing, gave up 6 runs, 3 home runs to the Nats, and he was just really been pitching above his level, and I think he's going to come back down to earth here again in this matchup against Cincinnati. A lot of righties in that lineup. And you look at John Lamb on the other side, and he had a good game last time out, but that was only because it was against the Astros and he was able to get 8 strikeouts. He didn't really do much other than strike out batters, and I really don't see that happening again. You look at the Padres, and they're just one of those teams that they're not the best, but they're also not the worst. They're sort of up there in WOBA, and they kind of just sometimes can actually really hit a bunch, but other times they can kind of go pretty dormant. This matchup at Great American Ballpark is, I really think they're going to do a lot here.
Yeah, I do. I mean, you look at those right-handed bats. I mean, really like a Will Myers or and a Matt Kemp. Solarte's hit really well against lefties this year. So Derek Norris. So, I mean, there's quite a bit of power from that right-handed side in that ballpark. I think it's just going to be a tough outing for really both these guys.
Yeah, and you look at Lamb too. I think a lot of people are going to look at recency bias in his last start and see him get the 8 strikeouts, have a decent game against the Astros. And I think his ownership might be a little bit high, especially on DraftKings, because he is only 5,400. So I think if you avoid him and he has a bad outing, that could really propel you in GPPs.
Yeah, definitely. And with that strikeout game, I mean, he only has a 7% swinging strike rate this year, so it's not like he always misses a ton of bats. I mean, I know, the Padres do strike out a little bit, but I'm really expecting them to put together a quality night at the plate.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you stated earlier, one of those high run games outside of cores.
Yeah, definitely. 9.5 is a big one. Cubs and Marlins, we got the next one here. John Lester versus Wei Chen. Cubs minus 161 favorites there, 7.5 over under. Lester's been the most consistent pitcher on this slate, coming off a little bit of a rockier outing by his standards, but still picked up 19 DK points. For me, he's your safer cash game option. He's not really a daunting price tag either. Going up against the Mets team that middle of the road against lefties. Yes, they do have some bats from the right side that can hurt you, and that strikeout rate is back up. It's nearly 23% against left-handers this season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like Lester in this matchup. His price tag to me, I think, is a little high, but it's not one of those 13,000 ones that we've seen recently. So I think he's priced well. And like you said, he had a bad outing last time out, but I think he's going to rebound against the Marlins here. The ballpark down in Miami is definitely going to help him out here. And the way I view this entire slate, just because it's only 5 games, not too many good options, even if Lester has what he had last game out, which was about 20 DraftKings points, I think he's still pretty serviceable, even at that price tag, because I really don't see too many starting pitchers having one of those really 30-plus DraftKings nights.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't think it's really there. I mean, you got Greinke and Coors. Harvey really hasn't showed that too much this season. So I think I'm in agreement. I think everyone's kind of going to be a little bit out around that range. And you're kind of paying up for safety.
Yeah, absolutely. He's the one guy on the slate that might get those 30 DraftKings points from your starter. And like I said, even if he only gets 20, there's a good chance most of the other guys will get 15 or less on this slate. So it's not going to really hurt you too bad.
Yeah, definitely. And there's plenty of different value in kind of cores bets that you can kind of work into with it. And I'm really not going to be afraid to even work in some Cubs or Great American Ballpark bets with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and on the other side, I mean, Wei Chen's been extremely home run prone this season, facing a pretty powerful right-handed offense. You look at Zobrist, that guy turns over. Bays has hit lefty as well. So for me, Chen's kind of out of play. I like the Cubs bats a little bit more here.
Yeah, his price tag is a little appealing, only 5,000 on DraftKings, but I agree with you 100%. His fly ball rate, his home run rate is just way too high. And you look at all these Cubs guys, the one thing they like to do is hit for power. So even though it is at Marlins Park, I think he's going to get hit hard.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's got an ERA nearly 6 at home. I mean, we expected him kind of moving over from Camden Yards to be a little bit better in that department, and he really hasn't been this year.
No, absolutely. I expected a lot more things out of Wei Chen this year.
Yeah. Next one here, you got the Coors game, Diamondbacks and Rockies. Eddie Butler versus Zach Greinke, 10.5 over under. Arizona minus 156. DraftKings, I mean, price Greinke down to 8,700. For me, it's still not enough. I don't think I can get back behind Greinke. I know he's pitched really well of late. But still, his cores, I think he's going to get knocked around, and he's obviously not in play for me at 9,900 on FanDuel.
Yeah, I agree with you there. You look at Zach Greinke, and he has pitched well, but it is at cores, and that price tag is way too high. I think if he was about 1,000 or 1,500 less on DraftKings, I would think about using him. But it's just cores game is really going to kill him. On the flip side, though, I wouldn't be too surprised if someone won a GPP by rostering him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is really the ultimate contrarian move tonight, just because it still is that Coors factor. And if you look and see maybe Lester does have just a 20-point outing, and maybe Greinke does come within 16, 17, 18 DK points, that price difference allows those next tier hitters into your lineup and kind of give you some more upside. So I'm not ruling it out. I don't see myself having really a ton of shares though.
Yeah, absolutely. The 3,000 difference kind of really is pretty big. You could use that a lot of spots in lineup construction.
Yeah, definitely. And on the other side, I mean, I think Diamondbacks are, you're probably agreeing with me here, the top stack of the night. And Butler is just atrocious.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm staying away from Butler. I don't even think if he was $1, I would probably play him.
No, unless FanDuel put him down to Kike Hernandez price at 220, I still wouldn't do it.
Yeah, the other day, sorry to go off on a tangent, but Yahoo had minimum salary Danny Duffy. He didn't have a good outing, but he was $7. And when they price their guys up at $40, typically it was a huge difference that really allowed people to roster whoever you wanted in your lineup.
Yeah, I mean, even if he goes, 4 or 5 innings with, maybe a couple of strikeouts and you get a nice high price guy in there.
It was sort of worth it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad price tag for a pitcher at all on Yahoo.
No, it was crazy.
Next last game here, you got the A's and Angels, Kendall Graveman versus Tim Lincecum. This will be the second time in a row that the A's see Lincecum. I mean, he threw a really solid start. I mean, 6 innings, went 98 pitches, 2 strikeouts. I mean, he got the win. And I think that's what you're kind of looking for here as far as an SP2 goes. Are you a little bit concerned that maybe this second time through that the ACM is going to be a little bit more worse?
Yeah, I definitely am. You look at that first outing, it's really obviously a small sample size, 1 game, but he only struck out 2 batters, and the A's really aren't a team that strikes out. So if they sort of figure him out, or he's not really doing as well as he did last game out, maybe the big A kind of affects him a little bit different. I think he could be in one of those outings where it's negative points. But, I mean, his price tag's pretty good. It's just I'm still kind of wearing on the side of caution with Tim Lincecum at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some general risk. I mean, 7,100. I think he is an SP2 guy for me on DK. I mean, I do kind of see him having an outing really similar to where he logs 15 points. I mean, maybe he gives up a few more runs, but I think he picks up the win here. I think the Angels kind of give him the offense just because Graveman hasn't really been that solid. Pretty friendly park there for Angel Stadium. And you mentioned the A's don't strike out a ton, but they are 27th in WOBA against righties.
Yeah, I kind of have a little bit differing view with Graveman. I think at his price on DraftKings at 4,500, I think you kind of almost have to go with him. He's also seeing the same team twice now, but he did go 7 innings last time out. He only gave up 1 run, and that was his best game pretty for the majority of the season. And at $4,500, it's not a price that's going to really kill you. So I think he could, even at that price, if he gets you 10, 15 DraftKings points on this, say, lower pitching kind of slate, I think that's not too bad. And you look at the Angels, out of their last 6 games, 4 times they've scored 2 runs or less. So they strike out a decent amount as well. So I think Graveman is kind of in an interesting spot here for GPPs.
Yeah, 4,500. I mean, he's going to allow you to kind of work in whatever bet you want. My biggest thing has been him on the road this year. He really hasn't been great. ERA nearly around 7. That's probably just my biggest takeaway. But I mean, I think reasonably you can look at this Angels offense and really target against it. So I'm a little bit bullish on that 8.5 over under. I think that's going to be a little bit lower than what Vegas expects.
Yeah, but my thing with Graveman too is you look at Angel Stadium and it's really, it's a little bit better for hitters, but it's not really that huge that you would see from going from O.Co to, say, like Camden Yards or someplace like that.
Yeah, it's not a huge difference as far as park factors go. But I mean, I just think I kind of look, and at the price tag, I definitely can't knock it. I mean, he really wasn't on my radar until you mentioned him. So I think I might have a share or 2 now, thanks to you.
Yeah, don't blame me. But I kind of agree with you. Lincecum, I hate saying it, but he could sort of be like a safe play, just because we haven't really seen too much from him in the minors. He did pretty well, so it just seems like this game, to be honest, probably is going to be really low scoring.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be one of those kind of 3-2, 4-3 type games. And Lincecum, I mean, he's obviously not the pitcher he used to be. And, he talked about after the game inducing that weak contact and using the changeup a lot more. So I think he's kind of – I think he's going to figure it out here. And he's not going to be quite the high upside guy. But if they keep pricing him low, I think he is going to be kind of that consistent 15 to 18 DK point type of player.
Yeah, I'm kind of waiting to see if he can find a little more swinging strike, missing the bats and all that stuff, because the 2 strikeouts kind of was really left me with a blah feeling after seeing that game.
Yeah, definitely, especially on DK. I mean, where they're taking away balls and hits against. So I think you do want those strikeouts to kind of counteract those points.
Yeah, I'm not saying Graveman really has a huge high strikeout rate, but I just keep looking at the Angels offense, and they can kind of go really quiet.
Yeah, they're definitely not good. And you got Pujols day to day, and you look. I mean, you just work around Trout, and you got a pretty easy way to go.
Trout and Calhoun, basically.
Yeah, definitely. So that's going to wrap things up here with the pitcher nail down. Be sure to check out thefantasycafe.com for all the great tools and content.